Hey y'all, it's Dawn, and I'm so glad you're back. I've got another fun, budget-friendly DIY video for you today. This is another collab, and I'll tell you more about it in a minute. Now for the first DIY. I made a trip to Hobby Lobby a few days ago and found this adorable little wooden truck and was shocked to see that it was only $4.99. When I saw it, I thought of a truck filled with pumpkins. While I was at Hobby Lobby, I saw some adorable pre-made trucks and wanted mine to look similar. I used Waverly antiquing wax for the bed of the truck and the sides. I applied the antiquing wax with a paintbrush and let it sit before rubbing it off with a paper towel because I wanted it to be a dark brown color. For the truck body, I used Apple Barrel Harvest Orange acrylic paint. This color reminds me of fall and pumpkins. Let me know in the comments what color makes you think of fall. I used a small Dollar Tree paintbrush to paint the body of the truck. For the fenders over the wheels, I originally painted them a gray color with a small paintbrush. I painted the wheels with Apple Barrel Black and tried my best not to get the black paint on the other colors. Y'all know I'm a messy painter and usually wind up with paint everywhere, including on me and my clothes. When I was finished, this is what the farm truck looked like. I just don't like the fenders. So I decided to do a faux metal look on them and to the center of the wheels. To achieve this, I used Folk Art Gunmetal Gray metallic paint and a Dollar Tree makeup sponge and dabbed it onto the fenders. I used a small detail brush to apply the paint around the edges of the fenders. Next, I added some Folk Art brushed silver and dabbed it on top of the gunmetal gray. I then added Folk Art pearl white metallic paint. At this point, I started mixing the colors until I was happy with the faux metal look, and painted the hubcaps on the wheels. I then went in with a detail brush and touched up all of the places on the truck that I'd gotten paint onto. Now that the truck was painted, it's time to work on the decal. I wanted to create something similar to the decal on the Hobby Lobby truck. I went into Design Space, added a square, sized it to the size I wanted the decal to cover, which was 2 inches, and changed the color to orange. I added my text, Hello Fall, but I couldn't decide which font I wanted to use, so I went to wordmark.it. This is a free website you can use to view all the fonts on your system. I typed in my saying and hit the little arrow. I was able to see the phrase with all the fonts on my system and decided to use Abigail 2 as my font. I went back to Design Space, searched my fonts for the Abigail 2, and changed the font on both words and sized them to fit. I uploaded these leaves from a design bundles file I had on hand, removed what I didn't want, and placed the leaves around the words. To make it easier, I will leave a link in the description for the design space file I created for you. I cut the design out and applied it to the side of the farm truck. And excuse the noise in the background, but my grand dog is here again and she's playing with a toy sitting right beside me. Not exactly like the Hobby Lobby farm truck, but a close second. I added some little miniature pumpkins from my stash to the back of the farm truck, and it is perfect. Would you have done anything differently? Let me know in the comments. As I mentioned, this is part of a collab hosted by Zana from OK at Home DIY and Marsha from Marsha's Mushing Stuff. This month's guest host is Evie from Sweet Little Home. The What Would You Make Collab is a monthly collab featuring things made out of wood. You will find links to all their channels along with a link to the playlist in the description. Be sure to check out the playlist to see what other amazing crafters have in store for you. Now for DIY number 2. I saw this adorable pumpkin on Pinterest and decided I would give it a try using some leftover pieces of paint sticks. I played around with the different size paint sticks until I liked the way the pumpkin looked. I used Waverly pumpkin chalk paint and painted all of the sticks. I dried the sticks with my heat gun and then used a finger sander to distress them. For the pumpkin stem, I used 2 pieces of an old shutter. You could use craft sticks or another paint stick for the stem also. I hot glued the 4 paint sticks onto the stem. I wanted the pumpkin to stand on its own, so I glued a Dollar Tree tumbling tower block to the back of the pumpkin. I used some raffia. I think I got this bundle at Hobby Lobby, but I'm not sure. Trimmed it to fit and glued it to the bottom of the stem right above the pumpkin. I used another small piece of raffia to make a simple bow and glued it to the top of the other raffia. I created the saying in Design Space. I'll leave a link to it in the description for any Cricut users. I removed the sayings and applied them to each section of the pumpkin. I added some dimension to the pumpkin using a fan brush and Waverly Antique Wax. I also used it on the back and sides of the pumpkin. And look at how stinking cute this pumpkin is. Let me know in the comments if you would have done anything different. I think it looks amazing. Now for DIY number 3. This was such a fun project with a big impact on my shelf. I used 6 Dollar Tree solid square blocks and painted them with my favorite paint, of course, Waverly Plaster Chalk Paint. I lost the footage of me painting and drilling the holes in the middle of the blocks. It's just amazing how things disappear on my camera. Do you have a problem like this? Things just disappearing for no reason? My keys are another thing I can never find. But anyway, After prepping the blocks, I used Design Space to create the letters for these seasonal blocks. I have a link in the description if you want to try this DIY for yourself. After cutting and weeding the vinyl, it was time to start applying the vinyl to the blocks. I lined the blocks up so I could eyeball where the letters needed to go. If you don't have a cutting machine, you can use Dollar Tree stickers to get the same effect. I have seen some really pretty sticker letters recently at Dollar Tree. I did each of the letters for each of the seasons, one season at a time. Now that the blocks are ready, it's time to move on to the beads. I used 2 sizes for the garland. I get my beads from Amazon, and you'll find a link to the store I get them from in the description. I wound up using 20mm and 16mm beads. I thought I had some 18mm, but I guess I've ran out. I placed the 16mm beads on a skewer and painted them with Waverly ink chalk paint. I placed the skewer on a bowl for the beads to dry. I wasn't worried about getting a solid color because I wanted the beads to look rustic. Next, I placed the 20mm beads on another skewer and did the same thing with Waverly plaster chalk paint. Once the beads were dry, it was time to put the garland together. I started at the end of the season and worked my way to the beginning. I used twine as my garland string. I pushed the twine through the hole in the block. I then added a white bead, a black bead, and then another white bead. This will be the pattern between all of the blocks. I did put tape around the end of my twine to make it easier to thread through the blocks and beads. I tied a knot at one end of the garland to hold the beads and blocks on. On the other end, I wanted to make a long tassel. I used Dollar Tree lace ribbon, twine, and some buffalo check ribbon from Hobby Lobby. I cut them to the desired length and then stacked them together, alternating between all the different ribbons. I placed the stack on top of more twine and tied a really tight knot. I tied it as tight as I could get it. You can also use hot glue to hold the tassel together. To attach the tassel, I used the long twine from the garland, wrapped it around the tassel a few times, and then tied another tight knot. And when I was finished, I have a perfect piece for my shelf that I can change out for any season. I went with the black and white color scheme because it is neutral and can be used for any season. And besides, that is my favorite color scheme. Let me know in the comments what colors you would have used. If you found me from the playlist, I hope you'll consider subscribing and joining our little family. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see y'all next time. Happy crafting!